whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Let me ask you, does she fornicate with the kings of the earth just like Israel did? Absolutely. But I want you to notice that she also has daughters. Did we notice that about Israel? Notice Revelation chapter 17 and verse 5. Revelation 17 verse 5. And on her forehead a name was written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and of the abominations of the earth. Do we have the word abominations here too? We have the word fornication. We have the word harlot. She controls the many waters of the world, nations, multitudes, tongues, and peoples. Absolutely. And by the way, if she's a mother, she must have daughters, because I don't know the first mother that never had children. I know women who didn't have children. But mothers have children. And because she's a harlot, her daughters are also harlots. Now notice that she gives wine to the nations. Revelation 17 and verse 2. With whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. You just have to accept by faith what I'm going to say now. The wine represents her false teachings in contradiction to the first angel's message. She fell because she rejected the first angel's message. The wine is the opposite of the first angel's message. We're going to study that in our next lecture. In other words, she gives her false teachings and her false practices to the nations, and she makes them what? Drunk. That's why when you preach the truth, people don't want to accept it. It's almost impossible to give a Bible study to a drunk. Of course, we're speaking about spiritual drunkenness. We're not talking about literal drunkenness. I want you to notice how this harlot is dressed. Revelation 17 verse 4. Let me ask you, was Israel dressed with gold and with silver and her ornaments and everything? Yeah. Notice Revelation 17 verse 4. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet. And adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a golden cup full of, here it is again, full of what? Abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. Is she decked with jewelry? She most certainly is. Does she want to impress her lovers with her riches and her looks? Absolutely. She's a global system. And everybody's impressed because of all of the riches and all of the wonderful gold and the silver that she has. And by the way, you notice that the colors that she majors in are purple and scarlet. Never blue. Because as we're going to notice in our next lecture, blue represents the law of God. And this system is contrary to God's holy law. Now, I want you to notice also that this woman is an assassin. You know, this woman has killed God's people. Did we find that of Israel in the Old Testament? We most certainly did. Revelation chapter 17 and verse 6. I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I marveled with great amazement.